The wrestling world is reeling from a loss so devastating, so incomprehensible, that it sent shockwaves through every corner of the industry. Seth Rollins, the visionary architect, the Monday Night Messiah who helped redefine an entire generation of wrestling, is gone. And this isn't just another tragic headline. This is a gut-wrenching, heart-shattering collapse that has left millions of fans, fellow wrestlers, and especially Becky Lynch, struggling to comprehend how something so preventable turned into an unthinkable catastrophe. What's even more infuriating is how avoidable this was. The match that led to this disaster wasn't supposed to be dangerous. It wasn't some hardcore stipulation or unsanctioned chaos, it was a standard bout. But due to a series of negligent oversights, ignored warnings, and corporate pressure to prioritize spectacle over safety, it became the setting for one of the most horrifying moments in modern wrestling history. Seth Rollins sustained multiple injuries in the ring that night, but it wasn't just bad luck. The root cause of this disaster can be traced to safety protocols that were outdated, ignored, and dangerously inadequate. Medical teams weren't positioned where they should have been. The ring setup had been weakened by earlier matches and not properly inspected. Worst of all, Seth had flagged concerns about specific spots during the pre-show meetings. He warned that the ring felt off, that the layout presented dangers, but he was told to tough it out, to stay on script, because changing anything would disrupt the flow of the show. That single decision, to silence concern in favor of continuity, may have cost him his life. The move that triggered the injury was a mistimed suplex, but the real failure was in what followed. The initial injury to Seth's neck triggered a violent physiological reaction. His body went into shock. Medical staff rushed in, but they were hampered by chaotic logistics. Equipment that should have been accessible was on the wrong side of the arena. Crowd control issues delayed critical care. And watching it all unfold in real time was Becky Lynch, Seth's wife, soulmate, and fellow warrior of the squared circle. She was backstage, scheduled to appear later in the show for a feel-good anniversary segment. Instead, she found herself sprinting toward the ring, forcing her way through security barriers, screaming for answers as medics surrounded the father of her child. What should have been a moment of celebration turned into a living nightmare as Becky went from co-performer to desperate loved one in the blink of an eye. That night, instead of cutting a promo about love and legacy, she ended up in a hospital room clutching Seth's hand, praying for a miracle. But that miracle never came. And now, the woman who helped revolutionize women's wrestling is standing at the edge of an abyss, unsure whether she can ever step foot in a WWE ring again. Since Seth's passing, Becky has shown strength most of us can't even comprehend. Her statement released through WWE's official platform was powerful, respectful, and heartbreakingly gracious. She thanked fans. She thanked the doctors. But behind closed doors, sources close to her have said that Becky is shattered, grappling with guilt, furious at the negligence that allowed this to happen, and questioning whether she can continue in a business that took everything from her. Meanwhile, the wrestling world has rallied like never before. Roman Reigns delivered a tribute that left the entire arena in tears, speaking through choked emotion about his Shield brothers' legacy, how Seth wasn't just a wrestler, but a teacher, a guide, and someone who made everyone around him better. Dean Ambrose, despite his exit from WWE years ago, immediately returned, throwing aside years of tension to support Becky and Roman. The image of Roman and Dean embracing, grief etched across their faces, will live forever in wrestling history as a reminder that some bonds run deeper than brands or contracts. But the mourning wasn't limited to headliners. Independent wrestlers, mid-carders, production crew, everyone who ever crossed paths with Seth had something to say about his kindness, his professionalism, and his deep love for the industry. Triple H, now WWE's chief content officer, has promised sweeping changes to safety protocols in Seth's honor. That sounds noble, but it raises a question that fans are screaming from the rooftops. Why did it take death to get change? How many warnings did the company ignore? How many more superstars are currently performing under the same dangerous conditions that Seth spoke up about? Reports have emerged that Seth had been nursing long-term injuries for months. He was managing pain with medication, skipping rest, because the system gave him no choice. WWE's medical team, while doing their best, were reportedly limited by policies that prioritized show production over human wellness. Even more damning, WWE's emergency protocols hadn't been updated in decades. The same systems designed in the 1990s were still in place in 2025, despite the fact that wrestling today is faster, more athletic, and far more dangerous. Seth's death didn't come out of nowhere. It was the final, fatal failure of a system that refuses to evolve. The fallout continues. Becky Lynch is reportedly exploring legal options against WWE, considering a negligence lawsuit that could unearth deeper truths about performer treatment and internal culture. Some wrestling promotions have already begun updating their own safety systems in response, while others appear more focused on damage control than change. And then there's the financial piece, perhaps the most disgusting detail of all. WWE's stock went up after Seth's death, as speculators saw an opportunity to profit from fan emotion. A man dies, and Wall Street cheers. Meanwhile, Becky is left trying to rebuild a life, raise a child, and carry on without the man who stood beside her through everything. The economic blow of losing Seth's future income is real. No settlement, no tribute video, no social media condolences can fix that. But out of this immense darkness, something powerful has emerged. The Seth Rollins Safety Foundation, launched by Becky herself, is already pushing to make wrestling safer. It's funding medical research, providing resources for injured wrestlers, and creating pressure for industry-wide safety reform. Seth's death may have ended one man's journey, but it has started a movement that could save countless lives. And more than anything, that's what Seth would have wanted. His legacy isn't just in championships or highlight reels. It's in the courage he showed speaking out, the love he gave to this industry, the unity he created among performers, the honesty with which he lived. Fans are still grieving. Social media is flooded with stories, tributes, and artwork honoring Seth. Hashtags like #JusticeForSeth and #WrestlingNeedsChange are trending worldwide. Fan communities are organizing candlelight vigils, fundraisers, and safety awareness campaigns. Because fans aren't just passive viewers, they're invested, heart and soul, in the lives of the people who entertain them. And they know this loss was preventable. As the pain lingers and the world tries to move forward, one truth remains: we cannot allow Seth's death to be forgotten or swept aside. We cannot go back to business as usual. Every promoter, every wrestler, every medical staff member, and every fan has a role to play in demanding better. Because no family should ever have to endure what Becky and her daughter are now FA.